Make sure I got the right one. All right. Can you see the share? I can't.
We can see it, but it's not big. I think you have to start it, maybe start it. Was that what you needed to do to make it big? Slideshow start, maybe?
All right. Let me stop it. Start it again. There we go. One day I'll learn how to operate this thing.
It's just an order of operations thing, Bob.
Okay. So we'll talk about some CW procedures, procedural signals, Q signals, and what they call full break-in. So these will be some more things to memorize. Um, Remember, CQ is just a shorthand from the telegraph days, which means calling any station. And it applies to both actual CW and phone. And also RST, which stands for readability, strength, and tone. We call those signal reports. And normally, when you make a contact, uh, especially in a contest or with some of the digital modes, it kind of happens automatically. Uh, you give a signal report, which is how readable the signal is, how strong it is, and in the case of CW, what the tone is. In other words, are you hearing a nice, pure CW tone, or is it kind of garbled? Uh, it turns out in practice, um, what you usually hear is 599 all the time, which means, you know, perfectly readable, super strength, and great tone. And it's usually not the case, but I think most people, um, if they can copy you, they'll say 599. Q signals are another um, shorthand used primarily in CW, but sometimes they come up in phone. We talk about it having a QSO, or sometimes we'll say QSL, which is an acknowledgement that you received the message, or a QSY to go to another frequency, things like that. There's also what we call prosigns, which are some other indicators that are either in requesting or doing some form of action. Hopefully, I can explain that a little better when we get there. Um, so the main thing in CW is you want to try to synchronize your speed with the person you're in contact with. In other words, you want to operate no faster than the person that you're communicating with can can is sending, and no faster than you're comfortable with. So you kind of have to uh, adjust to where you can copy the code and they can copy the code. So you have to find some speed where you know you can both operate. Typically, most people, until they get older, can send code faster than they can copy code. Uh, when you're answering a CQ on CW, to ensure that you're on the same frequency, you do what's called zero beating. So as you tune to the frequency of the transmitted signal, you'll hear uh, a varying tone as you get closer and closer to that carrier. When you're actually at the carrier frequency they're sending, you'll no longer hear anything. That's what we call zero beating. There's zero difference in frequency. And you have to use what's called a beat frequency oscillator in your receiver to actually give you an offset so you'll hear a tone. So if you're both on this transmitting and receiving on the same frequency, then it's much easier to communicate than if you're off, you know, a kilohertz, and they got to figure out if you're above or below exactly where you are. And you also use less bandwidth. If you're doing like a split mode where you're transmitting on one frequency and receiving on a different frequency, you're using twice as much bandwidth. Like I said, once you make a contact, you typically send a signal report, which are those three numbers: readability, strength, and tone. And in the case of CW, you may also append the letter C, which means that their signal is kind of chirpy or unstable. It usually means that they don't have a good waveform. It's too much of a square wave. Uh, this is the definition of the RST numbers. And you see, for readability, we go 1 through 5, where I'm not sure how you give them a 1 if you can't read them. But yeah. So somewhere in that 1 to 5 range, depending on how easy it is to copy the signal. On the signal strength, we go 1 through 9. So if they're uh, probably S7, you're probably up at a number 7 or 8, something like that. Anything above an S7 on your S meter would give you an 8 or a 9. And in the case of CW, the tone is how that uh, signal sounds when you hear the dits and dahs as a typically around 750 hertz, somewhere in that range. It depends. It's kind of a personal preference of what you set it to, but how clear it is. Um, I don't really know what a lot of these would sound like a rough hum rectified, for instance. I have no idea what that really sounds like. That's probably why if people can hear it, you get a 9. Okay. Q signals. It's just another uh, set of shorthand, and there's dozens of these. This is just some of the more common ones. QRS is an important one in CW, which means send slower. You know, they're sending too fast and you're having trouble copying it. So you send a QRS to tell them to slow down. And it works both ways. Like I mentioned, QSL says you acknowledge receipt of the message. And that's where QSL cards came from, which aren't used as much anymore. But you used to get paper like a postcard, a QSL card that had information about the contact. So it was an acknowledgement that you had a contact with that person. And that was both CW and phone. QRN means that you've got static. The way I remember that, because there's another one called QRM, is that the N means it's noise and the M means it's man-made, which QRM means I'm getting interference basically from somebody or some man-made thing. QRV says you're ready to receive. So that one's easy to remember, the RV for receive. QSK is the full break-in, which says you're telling the other person that you can hear between your signals. And what that means is as soon as you let go of the key or you stop doing a did or a da, your transceiver goes back into receive mode. So it means you can listen in receive mode in between the dits and das of your Morse code. So it's kind of like operating full duplex. Um, Otherwise, you can't hear anything while you're transmitting. QSA, probably not used that often, but you know, it's what is the strength of my signal. QRK is the intelligibility of my signal. It's kind of like um, querying the signal report. QSY is changed to a new frequency. Uh, you can either use that as a verb, telling somebody that you're changing, or ask if you want to change. And QTH, just think of the H as your home, that's your location. Any questions on those? Several of them will be on exam questions, particularly QRS, QRN, I think QTH, QSY. And I talked about break-in, QSK. Any questions on that one? It's just so that you can uh, listen in case somebody else is trying to break in, there's emergency, or whoever you're talking to is trying to send back to you. Not being a Morse code aficionado, I can't say I know a whole lot about that. I'm trying to learn, but it's hard when you get old. Okay, prosigns are things that you can append to the end. So if you append a K to your CQ, it says you're listening for any station. If you do a KN, that you're listening for specific station or stations. And the AR indicates that's, you know, the end of a message. I'm not sure how they got AR to indicate that, but a lot of these, the numbers were just picked because of what was available. Okay, so which of the following describes full break-in telegraphy or QSK?
How about D?
I'd go with D.
Delta.
Okay.
What should you do if a CW station sends QRS?
Alpha.
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 What does it mean when a CW operator sends KN at the end of a transmission?
Charlie.
Charlie.
What does the Q signal QRL mean?
Delta.
And are you busy? Delta?
Delta.
Delta.
What is the best speed to use when answering a CQ in Morse code?
Alpha.
Read them carefully.
Speed at which you're coming, but no slower. Oh,
Bravo.
bravo. Mhm.
Yeah, one rule on the exam, always
Please.
read all 4 questions before you
Yeah.
answer.
I have trouble with that sometimes.
Me
Yep.
too.
The first
Yeah.
one sounded good, but
Whoops,
slower
one
and
word.
faster are different.
Yep.
What does the term 0 beat mean in CW operation?
Alpha.
Did you read all 4?
No. No, I didn't, and I realized that after I said it. So it's
Delta.
Delta.
Delta. When sending CW, what does the C mean when added to the RST report?
That's alpha.
Right.
Yeah.
What prosign is sent to indicate the end of a formal message when using CW?
Charlie.
Charlie.
What does the Q signal QSL mean?
Charlie.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I've received, yeah.
Right.
I thought it meant frequency in use.
Uh,
Can you go back and let us see the question again? Because they asked us that question. It must mean something different.
I think one was QR and one was QS.
QSL means frequency in use.
means acknowledge receipt.
Right.
Oh,
And QRL is are you busy or are you there? Right?
Right.
oh, I didn't even have QRL in my notes, which explains everything.
We'll go back to that chart before we get through them. What does the Q signal QRN mean?
Yeah.
Delta.
Static. Noise, static,
Right.
delta.
Noise. What does the Q signal QRV mean?
Delta.
Right. RV for receive.
Okay, R to V for receive.
I don't know if there's a way to jump back more than one at a time. Oh,
Can you just do your
I
arrow
don't know what slide
keyboard?
it is.
I think you can just do your arrow on the keyboard and it'll keep going back slides. That'll just save you a couple keystrokes.
Hitting the back button.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe
On
not.
your keyboard,
it didn't seem to work.
the arrow button doesn't work.
No.
I think you're best using the
There
previous
you are.
because,
That's it.
well, that's the question. Let's go
Yes.
back to the table. Go back to the table.
It's a long way back.
We learned a lot, didn't we? Well, we read a lot anyway.
There you go.
Okay. QRS, Q. Oh, you see, it isn't there.
It's not on there.
QRL isn't there.
Nope.
Ah, gadzooks.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I have to fix that.
Well, that explains why I didn't know it.
There you go.
Okay.
You might have said it, you know.
Yeah, well, let's see. I guess it was on a previous slide, right? Because we talked about it.
Yeah, you might have talked about it. I was depending a lot on the visual.
I should have put it in this list, but yeah, it was on a couple slides previous to this.
Mhm.
Any other
I,
questions? I'll have to delete one of those to add it.
Or you could sort of
I
make
could
it
probably
QRS,
squeeze another one
QRL
in. Yeah.
thing, you know,
Yeah. All right.
a little cheap.
You can always make the font a little bit smaller so you can fit it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it does that automatically if I squeeze